Hey there, Beverly Hills 90210 fans.
You know how when they yell cut, they wouldn't stop?
That's interesting.
What?
Yes.
If you were Donna, what would you have said?
I said,
A waitress rather call the police, and she was mistaken 90210 for cops.
Along with your hosts, Charles Rosen,
Look at that Dean cake. And Dan probably got the best performance he ever gave.
We're having a meeting here?
Oh, at least there's one person on this Fakata set that knows what they're doing.
Larry
I had a friend
Mullen,
named Craig Richland. There was still cocaine around and stuff. I always remembered him. I just kind of thought I would honor my coke dealer.
Pete Ferrero,
Here's what I learned. It's possible Claire would have gone out with me.
that was your takeaway?
so sit back and relax because it's like totally time for the Beverly Hills 90210 show.
Just hold on to me tonight.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so this is unusual.
Yes.
It's going to be a little bit different because I am here with my TV crush, Kathleen Robertson, who looks incredible.
Thank you.
You're always so beautiful.
Oh, that's sweet. That's
Oh.
sweet of you to say.
Well, it's true too. It's also factual. So it's not it's also true and also sweet. But I got something from Jose Crespo. Is that his name?
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, he's a photographer. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know how this all happened, but at some point I saw this picture of you from Hamilton magazine.
Okay.
And when I was, because remember in my old place, I had a bunch of like stalker like pictures of you up, like almost like it was if the cops came in, the detectives were like, oh, he did it because of the way it was all.
Yeah. Yeah. Little like you had like twinkle lights and little
all
yeah.
like surrounding it, right? The only thing I just
Yes.
needed like was like a map or something, and then they would have been like, "Oh, he's obviously we know who did this."
Yes.
And I lost all that,
Yeah.
but so I was like, "Well, how can I do this
Which
different?"
might be okay.
I was hoping when I went back there that I would have found at least one picture.
Yeah. I
But
know.
how cool would it have been, right? If you were watching the news
Yeah. And there
And they-
was one. Yeah.
and they were like, "One thing found in one house." A picture of the actress Kathleen Robertson. Like people would have been like, "What? Like what?
What the fuck? Yeah.
All right." But anyway, he
Okay.
sent me this. Let me show you what he sent me. Okay, hang on. I have
Okay.
to figure out how to do share. Okay, share.
Uh-oh. Oh, it's like a full oh. That's very cute.
And I love it because this is like I feel like you told me this was like right at the start of all the shit.
Yeah, that was I'm looking at all the details of this because I feel like that was right after I started on 90210. Yeah, that was like, well, it says on it was 90. Yeah, so that was I
93.
think that was after I had maybe filmed my first little chunk of episodes, and then
The square dancing.
I knew that I was going back as a series regular, and I was home visiting my family and did this photo shoot.
It's amazing.
It's very cute. And my favorite part of it is the fake tattoo on my ankle.
Okay, so there's a lot
And
to
I'm
talk
like
about.
pulling up my little overalls to be like, look at my cute tattoo, but it's
Okay.
fake.
I was going to point this out. There's so many things I love about this picture. First of all, for anyone who's listening to it and that can't see it, they'll see it at some point. But you're wearing the overalls from the episode of 90210, which is a few seasons later, called Unreal World. These
Oh,
are the
wow.
same overalls.
Yeah. No, they definitely were my go-to overalls.
Do you still have them?
I don't, which is so
What the
sad.
fuck? Why do you lose? Where do
I don't know. Like, I don't know where. I think I just donated them, or I don't have them anymore.
I mean, that's
I'm
we're
not
starting
one
on
of
a
those
bad
people
note.
that saves all of my clothes. Like, I know.
What?
I mean, I feel like Tori saves all of her stuff and has like
Oh, you're saying you're not someone who does that.
I'm not, no.
I know that Molly Campbell has a dress that you wore in the season 6 finale. This is the one that was on the Queen Mary, the episode.
Okay.
And you're wearing this, and you're wearing
I don't even remember filming on the Queen Mary, but
Okay.
okay.
Okay. In Molly Campbell's house.
Yeah.
And she was showing me some stuff that she still had saved from 90210, and I saw the dress and I knew exactly what it was from. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's Claire's dress from the finale on the Queen Mary."
what does it look like?
It's it's kind of gold
Okay.
and yeah, I mean I would have to show it to you. I can show you I
Okay.
can show it. I don't know how to remove this window. Did that fix things?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there we go.
Well, so I wanted to say, because I want to shout this out, I'm actually going to cut this little clip because I thought it was so nice of Jose Crespo. I told him what happened
Yeah.
with me in the fire and
Yeah.
all that, and I told him
Uh-huh.
about losing my shit, and he was like, I will send you that picture. I have that picture, and he sent me the file, and I got it printed, and now it's landing here.
I it's cropped a bit. I can't really
No,
see
hold
it.
up. I'll go like that.
Hold on.
Yeah,
There, yeah, okay, now I can see it. I
yeah.
love it. It's very, very, very cute.
Well, I
And it's
mean,
very like it's very representative of a very specific moment in time. Like I sort of can look at every detail of it and remember every sort of choice and thing. And like the little necklace that I'm wearing in that is I remember vividly buying it in Los Angeles at Fred Siegel on Melrose, which is now gone, which is where we used to go and shop for all the clothes for 90210, or a big chunk of it. That's where and that little necklace, I just remember I bought it with money that I made off my first few episodes, and it was like special to me because I really love religious stuff, and it's a cross, and it was like these little pearls, and I don't know, it's just every detail of that photo. And like the overalls I bought in Toronto at Courage My Love at this thrift shop that I used to go and buy all my clothes at when I was growing up. And it's just
and
cool. It's cute.
it's
It's very
cute.
like
And
of a moment. And I remember Jose wanted me to hold the orchids, and I was like, this is cheesy. I don't want to hold them.
tell me
He
about the
made me do
orchids.
it
I'm
anyway.
curious
He
about
made
how
me
that.
do it. Yeah, he made me do it. And I was like, I don't want to hold the flowers. And,
But that
it
comes
was
across in the
stupid. Yeah, it
picture.
was so stupid. Sorry, Jose. I love
No,
you,
no, no,
but
no. Wait, hold up.
like,
Jose's right. You're wrong. Jose's right. You're wrong.
wait,
Because
he's right?
he's right. You're wrong. You
What?
held you you held the bouquet in a way
Yeah.
that was
Like I was embarrassed. I was apologizing for it.
well. It's kind of badass the way you're holding them. You're holding them in a way like I don't give a fuck about these, which is what I
Yeah.
got out of the picture. Which is probably what
Interesting.
Jose was thinking. He takes incredible photographs of you.
Yeah, he's cool. I love him. He's
I
great.
mean, it's just I'm like every time I look at a picture that he shot of you, I'm like, he gets it. He gets her. He gets her.
He's from Hamilton.
Yeah. Also, I will say the fake tattoo is amazing.
It's so cute. It's so funny.
And also
Funny.
your feet are in the picture, and I'm sure
Yeah,
someone
somebody, yeah, we won't, yeah.
someone's probably like, oh my God, and her feet. Like I'm not one of
You
those
don't need to
people,
tag that, yeah, or
but
flag
I
that.
know that that is a thing
Yeah.
that people are
Yeah.
sometimes creepily into. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's and also you look so beautiful in it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Nobody is going to want to listen to this.
everybody is. Everybody is going to be like, "Oh, this is so cool. It's happy. I'm happy that he's talking to her."
Okay. When is it my turn?
Okay, that's what I was just going to do. 'Cause I don't know how to do the reverse,
Okay, so I'm just going to take over.
which is what you normally just do.
So, yeah. So the reason why I am here today is because I'm getting to interview you and talk to you about sort of the last, has it been 5 weeks now?
It has been a little over, yeah. No,
5
it is
weeks.
5 weeks today.
5 weeks. Okay, so 5 weeks ago, obviously, we're talking about the fire, and everybody, I'm sure, knows already that this poor gentleman's home was. I don't know why I'm smiling as I say it, but I mean, I just don't know the technical, like, so your house burnt down. I mean, to just be blunt.
I mean, that's what happened. My
The
house was
house
one
burnt
of the
down.
houses that was lost in the fire, the Eaton fire. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that word
In
right.
Altadena. Yeah. So Peter lost his house and lost everything in it, every single thing in it, except for hard drives from his computer and clothes on his back and a few small other things that he grabbed, but lost everything. So here we are sitting 5 weeks later, and I just, yeah, I think everybody would love to hear from you about the experience. And I think that um, I just have questions for you. So if you're
Okay.
cool, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
ask.
I'm giving
Yeah.
you the floor. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, okay, I've written, because I'm, you know,
I love it.
a little type A.
A
I've written
little.
out a few questions. So I have a few questions. So my first question I think is, I'm gonna start with something just really easy.
Okay.
So I want you to go back to, well, first of all, like, have you even told anyone about, I mean, I feel like you've already told everyone kind of the story of, like, I was sitting in my place and we got the call. And I mean, do you want to go through that, or do you feel like everybody knows that already and we should get more into specifics?
I
My
mean,
feeling was, it's like, we
I'll
know,
briefly, for those that have
yeah,
not, I this was all kind of like a surprise to me. Like the day before, I'll quickly just say that like the power company contacted everybody in the area and said, "Oh, we're going to be turning off the power the next day." And so the entire time that the winds was crazy, you know what I mean? I think I even sent you a picture like, holy shit, wind is off the hook right here.
yeah,
And but so the whole time the power went out, I thought we were just dealing with a power outage, which I've done and dealt with before. Like I'm
right,
from Jersey, like I don't know, there was years ago there was Hurricane Sandy, so I've gone without power. It's like totally fine. I'm an East Coaster. I've been through snowstorms, crazy
yeah,
ones, you know.
yeah,
So this was nothing to me. I was like, oh,
right.
okay, I'm
It's
just
just
going to be
like,
without
whatever.
power for a
Yeah,
few hours, and
right.
then it just quickly because then there was then the fire started to happen. Chuck Rosen, who I know do this podcast with, you know that he contacted me and was like, "Hey, are you okay with the fire in Altadena?" And I was like, because we had no power, so I had my cell service wasn't really working and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Inevitably, look, it just came down to the late night. We didn't had no idea that what was going on. We couldn't get any. We were on some app, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
following where the evacuations were. At some point, I was like, and honestly, the only reason why I was like this is because I was working on an edit, like I was editing something, and I was like, well, I need to get that hard drive to go with me wherever we wind up going. And so then I was like, well, I'll just bring all the hard drives. I'm so like, because I still thought like, yo, I'll be back in the house by 11 the next day,
Yeah.
and then we got evacuated. I took all the hard drives, a handful of clothes, and then shit just went down the wrong way.
So that leads me to my first question, which is, okay, go back to that moment when you're
Mhm.
at your house and you and your wife are like, okay, it's time to go. We got to get out of here. We're going to be back in an hour. Not a big deal. You grab your few things, you leave. So if you could go back to that moment right now, like, I want you to name 3 things that you would have taken that you missed the most.
Okay. Well, I've had a
Straight.
lot of time to think about that because like every time I'm here now in the new place, there'll be a moment where I'm like, oh, I didn't get that. So
Mhm.
there was one hard drive with family photos,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
of from for years, like
Hmm.
s- a long time ago, someone made a video of like all the things that happened in my life, and I had to like get all the videotapes and all that stuff. And I
Right.
was on this little blue hard drive. I gave it to the person. The person made this thing, and so I had this little blue thing. I actually wound up using a couple clips in the well, you know, the pizza documentary. So um, I don't have that now. I was looking for,
Oh.
thought it was in this blue bag that I had
Hmm.
all the hard drives, and it's the only one that's not in the bag. And I was like, I'm still like I'm still reacting to that yesterday because I'm from yesterday because I'm like I
Yeah. You just
totally
like,
thought I fucking grabbed that. So that's
hmm.
one thing. Pictures and memorabilia, like of that stuff. I
Okay.
do kind of wish I mean, I want to, it's hard because it's like three, you said three things. So it's like,
Three.
it's a specific number too. So, um, I don't know that I would put the 90210, the pictures I had. Jill Henkel gave me these pictures that used to live in the 90210 house, the set of the
Yes.
90210. As much as I'd love to say on this podcast that I wish those were things I grabbed, I can't say that. You know what I mean? Because this is going to maybe be dark, but we, when our dogs passed away,
Oh
we're
yeah,
dog
yeah.
people, right? So when our dogs passed away, we'd always collect the ashes, and we had like a
Mhm.
little area of like this,
Yeah,
the area of where their spirit lives.
yeah.
So I wish I would have grabbed that.
Those. Yeah.
Yeah, over the 90210 pictures.
I would hope that you would say that.
Yeah, so like because that spirit is kind of gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there was this, I mean, I don't know if this is really one of them, but this podcast fan, Krista McIsaac, gave me a little ornament of you.
Okay.
Okay. But I loved it.
One of the three. Okay.
I love
You can find a way to replace that ornament.
so she's sending me a new one. I'm gonna be honest with you, and she's gonna be upset. I don't love the picture. Like it's a mock-off of the picture, but it's a little bit too AI for me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it
Was
says
that the photo though?
yeah. But she did send me an updated version of it.
Oh,
Um,
oh my God.
but I will say though
Yeah, okay.
that the first one was
So
very
the
special to
ornament,
me
the
because
dogs,
yeah.
and the hard drive.
If I'm going to be honest, I'm going to remove the ornament since I have it now.
Okay.
And I will say that we went to Cuba a few years prior to that, and we had these really awesome paintings from Cuba. And so, like, because it was a big deal to go to Cuba then. Like, I don't even think you can go now. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, no, for sure.
we were the first the first Carnival cruise ship that went to Cuba. The people were literally waving to us, Kathleen. Like when Cuban people were like doing this at the thing, I was like, we're these people. Like we are pioneers. I am a pioneer.
Didn't you say there was something too in Cuba, like weird about the gift shop or like
the
the type of place that it was? Like, didn't you say that it was a bit of an odd?
Yeah,
anyway,
it was
that's so off point. But remember, wasn't that the place or no?
No. Yes, you're remembering you're remembering a couple things.
We don't have to, I mean, I don't think it's something to talk about, but I'm just asking for confirmation from you. Is that
it
the
was
place?
hard to get the pictures. Yes, the pictures
Understood.
were. Okay, but also I did go off the beaten path in Cuba to some restaurant that Emeril Lagasse went to, and I went in there thinking like, of course they're gonna know who Emeril was.
And
You know
they
what I mean?
didn't.
And they had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, remember the guy came here, bam, and
Yeah.
and they were like, what? Like he's crazy. Like this guy's just a fucking lunatic. He must have had too many
Right.
drinks off the Carnival cruise ship.
Right.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Bam, get out. That was the face that they gave me. Was like, get out.
Got it. Okay.
Not quite what
So, okay. So now, okay, so 5 weeks later, obviously you can sort of look back on the experience and really sort of reflect on it. And I was curious, like, what about this sort of aftermath of what went down? Like, what has surprised you the most about either, the city, like either about Los Angeles or the community or people's reactions or how it sort of has affected you mentally, or like what's the sort of thing that you kind of are the most like surprised by all these weeks later?
It's definitely the heart of LA because if you recall, after when it was happening, there was this sort of lack of awareness of everything I needed because I'm always kind of like I don't need much, though I had a lot of things. I collected a lot of things from 40 years, whatever it is,
Right, a lifetime,
a lifetime of things I had as a baby or old videotapes, And so there, like, I did not actually think about how much stuff I lost.
Mhm.
And so what I loved about LA is they were thinking about it for me.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Like all of those things that the close of it all that stuff, there were all these like really awesome things set up. You were sending
Yeah.
me literally everything that LA had to offer. Like
Well, I
that,
mean,
it was
I
amazing.
think it's just the natural instinct. Like you just feel so kind of helpless and I just think it is an incredible thing about, I think, Los Angeles and
But like,
being away and not being there during the experience. Like it was weird. I know, like my husband and I both, like as soon as everything was going down, everybody was like, "Oh my God, you must be so happy you're not there." And we both were like, "No, we actually really want to be there." Like,
yeah.
and so I just think, yeah, I just think everybody kind of came out of the woodwork and was just like, okay, what can we do to help? What can we do? Like, do this, go here. This person's giving away this. This is this. Like, go here for this. This.
But I mean, to me, that was the define. There's a couple of things. That was one of the defining moments where it was like, holy shit, like everybody out here, and I'm talking about like really great brands that I love, like Outer Known
Yeah, of
and Marine Layer and
course.
the
Yeah.
A-list that you sent me, like
Mhm.
all of those places were doing things for people.
Yeah.
And even restaurants, like there's this great
Yeah.
little restaurant that I go to, or we used to go to, called Bubs and Grandma. I still will go to it. It's a little bit far from where I am now, but and they were giving free sandwiches. And so as soon as you came in and they would be like, were you affected by the fires? You would say yes.
Mhm.
They would take care of you in a different way. And
Right.
so that was a very special thing to find. I mean, personally too, like outside of the brands, like you checking in on me being like, I don't have any clothes, and then coming up with a list of things for me to get immediately, sending me
Mhm.
things, Brian giving me a guitar because he saw I was guitarless,
Yeah.
Tori bringing me on her podcast and just checking in, and Randy, and then all the people that helped me with the GoFundMe and all that stuff, because I wasn't really thinking about all the shit, and
Right.
it was just so much stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, the thing is like, okay, I had a KitchenAid mixer, whatever. That's so silly. You know what I mean? But like, I loved my mixer. I loved
Yeah.
making fresh pasta on my, and
Yeah.
that was gone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I know that's just an irrelevant kind of item, but it's
Right.
like, fuck, I got to get a new mixer. And I kind of like the old one better than the new model. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just like a
Right.
lot, but everybody came across, and even like the community from this podcast, like all helping and checking in on a regular basis. And what can I do? Friends from back in the day that like I hadn't talked to in a really long time, people that I like, just it was touching in a way, Kathleen, because it's like we live a life and we're like we go through these steps, right? Of like, oh, I did this thing with this person, I went to their party, and I don't think about any of those things. You know what I mean? I
Right.
just do those things because that's who I am as a person. And then for people to say things like, I'll never forget when you
Yeah.
checked in on me when my mom died. And I didn't even
Right.
really check. Like, I just did that because I wanted to check in and make sure the person, like, there was
Yeah.
no strategy. I just like checking in because
Yeah.
like, this must be so much for this person to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, how are
Yeah.
you? And so for them to be throwing those things back at me, like, you did this, it was emotionally, it took over sort of all of the worry and the loss and the sadness because I was like,
Mm.
fuck, I'm like,
Like, oh, I'm
in my,
supported.
I'm supported, and in my life, I've made a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. It's true, and it's such a I think that's such a it's a really interesting thing about when any of us, I think, go through really, really hard, challenging things. You always remember little random things. Like I went through something about 10 years ago that was like a really challenging time for me in my life. And there's certain people who did little things that like they I'm sure didn't think anything of it, but I still to this day remember, a friend of mine who sent me homemade soup, like she sent me this little box and it had these things in it with all these just like homemade soups, and it was just like, I love you, I'm thinking about you. I just thought, here's dinner for the night, like just little thing like that that doesn't, it's just, and it's like, I guess it's just ultimately that feeling of like, we're not alone in this, and that people do care about you. So I'm happy that that was at least a positive that kind of came out of this horrific experience, and I do think in general, like that's what not being in LA and being on the outside, like that sort of feels like that's very clear that everybody came together and everybody went over and above to just kind of be like, I got you. Here's this, here's that, and it's what makes, I think, Los Angeles such a completely unique, one of a kind of place and community.
Two things on that. One, I had a crush on this girl in high school. Her name was Allison Millivoy, and the first night that we were displaced at a hotel because I didn't know where to go, and the hotel just oddly felt safe for some reason. Our dog settled in there, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fine." And
Mhm.
Allison Millivoy made sure, like that first night that I had dinner, she ordered it from, well, was it Spaghetti Factory? Is that what it's called? Spaghetti Factory? You've been to a spaghetti factory.
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
She made sure that we had dinner that night and like went through all the steps. And like of all the things, I was like, that was one thing
But
I really
yeah.
appreciated because
Yeah,
by
it's
the
like a
time I
little
got
thing, but it's, yeah.
back to the place after going back and forth and being
Hmm.
displaced and all that, like that was one thing I did not need to
Yeah.
worry about. And I thought it
Yeah.
was fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
Brian,
And
when
are you crushing on her now again?
no, no.
Or you're
She
like, oh God, she sent me this meal and now I'm so into her again.
It was no, but yes and no,
A
but
little bit.
yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
She still looks incredible. So she had like this little Molly Ringwald thing.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian also like we moved here to
Yes.
we're in
Your new place.
yeah, and I'm close to him, and he um took me around the town and showed me all the places,
That's great.
made me feel like I have a new home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
like, that was another one of those things that like just super appreciative. And like honestly, like I was gonna say this for the end, but like you checking in on me, you making sure
Oh,
I was
well, of
okay,
course. I mean,
but
of
you being
course.
like such a great friend, like
Oh, well,
blew me away. And like, not that you're not, because you are, but I'm so appreciative for you.
um, well, it was
Beyond how
definitely,
beautiful you are and all that stuff, like
it,
on that level, it was like because I feel like you're a very caring, kind, good person.
I,
And you
I,
want to do for people.
yes. I mean,
And
I'm
I'm
Canadian.
curious how
That's
that
who we
was for
are.
you because it wasn't just me. I'm sure you knew other people
Yeah.
that lost their homes and stuff.
Yep.
And I feel like there's been times where I've seen something go down in a community and I want to help and I don't know, like I know someone and I almost feel powerless. Like I almost feel sometimes it's worse for the people that can't that
Right.
want to help but can't do anything, literally, other than be supportive and kind and whatnot.
Yeah.
How was it for you to see all of that from afar?
I mean, I think it was just like I said, I think that like the instinct was like, oh, I want to get on a plane and go back. And even, now I'm sort of counting down, I'm coming back to Los Angeles in March, and I'm just sort of counting down the days to get back there because it just feels weird not to be there. And I'm sure, from everything I've heard, this is just going to be, it's like, this isn't sort of like, oh, it's over. Okay, back to life as usual. I mean, this is going to be ongoing for many, 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 many years, and I think that, yeah, it's a lot it's just a lot, I'm a little scared to, I mean, Malibu in particular is a place that I would go there almost every weekend and all those, it's just, yeah, I'm sort of scared, not looking forward to driving along PCH and seeing it, I think it's going to be really, really, really upsetting. I mean,
I think
obviously.
you touched upon something too that I think people maybe when I've seen a tragedy happen in an area, it's like the news cycle changes, right? Like
Yeah, of course.
there's
It's
enough
over
going
now.
on
Yep, it's
currently,
over.
you know.
Yep.
But like, and even for me, it's like when I was in it, I wasn't really dealing with it, right? Like I was like, I
Right,
have
of
to find a
course. You're in
place,
survival mode. You're in survive. You're just like, I need to just like get
posting
to the next thing.
nonsensically, whatever.
Right.
I was in it, and then, but then there's been this time of like, because I'm also an action person, so it's like I got to get a new place, I've got to get the new couch, I've got to go get this, I got to replace the thing, I got to get that picture of Kathleen from Hamilton magazine, like all
Right.
those things. But
That's the
now, but
priority. Yeah.
it was actually, but but so it's like actually now it's like now I've had the time to settle in, and it's like, holy fuck, what just happened?
Right.
I'm seeing all our neighbors tonight.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, like
Great.
I loved that block. I loved everybody on
Yeah.
that block. And
Yeah.
so I'm not the only one that
How many times have you gone back to see your old house?
only twice. The first time
Okay.
was the day after when we weren't supposed to be up there and like the gas was still on and it
Yep.
felt like anything could have blown up. But I
And have
really
you,
wanted to
like,
go
are you
there
allowed to, I mean,
now.
can anybody go and drive around that area or is everything blocked off
No,
still?
now I think you can, at least if you live there. And so I mean, I went up there a couple weeks ago, and that was it. It was closure for me because I was like, I cannot keep coming back to this place. I don't
Yeah.
want to sift through things. I don't want to, there's literally nothing to sift through. Like
Yeah.
I have these, when I first moved to LA, one of the things I wanted to do was journal about my whole experience about living there.
Yeah.
And so I was journaling, I journaled the whole 4 or 5 years that we've been in that house and talking to you, all that stuff. And I went and I saw one of the journals in the fire, and I
Oh,
was so excited. And I picked up the journal, and it dissipated in my hand.
oh, wow.
And so
Yeah,
it
that's,
was
ooh.
very emotional for me because it's like, is that the end of all those dreams? Like
Yeah,
I
that's,
it was metaphorical. It was actual the physicality of being like, wait, what the fuck just happened? And I had a friend who also experienced all this, and they had a cool record collection, and they saw one of the records, and they grabbed the record, and it just was like, it just was all gone. So
mm,
weird that it retained its look, but it actually was nothing. It was so
yeah,
weird. Yeah.
that's really weird. That's really weird. And journals are one of those things where there's a lot of, I mean, you can replace pretty much anything, but something like that is almost like, I mean, yeah, that would be really hard. The journal thing would be really hard.
Yeah, I mean, and it's okay because, well, what inevitably happened was at the hotel we were staying at, there was a guy, there's a group of guys that were working in the area redoing the power lines, and some drunk guy, his name was Wade McCade. That's I found his name out at the end.
Okay.
He said to me, he said, they can take away, remember this, I want you to remember what I'm about to tell you. They can take away your things, but they can't take away your memories. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, you're a little drunk, but I'm rolling with this, but I'm rolling
Yeah,
with this one moving forward. Yeah,
right. Okay, I have I want to ask you five quick questions,
sure.
and I want you to answer like quick.
I know because I'm pretty long-winded.
No, but these are like five quick ones,
They're
okay?
literally fire questions, like
Yeah,
rapid
exactly.
rapid
Yeah,
fire.
fire question. Okay. How many times, okay, number one, how many times approximately a day do you think about this experience? The specificity of the fire. Answer.
Five.
Go.
5 times a day.
Okay. Two, did you gain any new friends or relationships because of the fire?
Yes.
Two,
Many.
B. 2B, did you lose any friends because of the experience?
I did. I
How
did.
many?
Um, I would say 2.
Okay. Three, how many times have you deeply cried
Oh my God.
since that day about this experience? How many times have you had a deep cry about it?
2 deep cries, but like
Two.
general tears all the time, but like deep fucking tears. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Did the word fucking help really
Yeah. Yep.
define deep? Yeah.
2.
2.
Okay. 4. Number 4. What item of clothing do you miss the most? Quick. You can't overthink.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking of fucking all my old clothing and what your thoughts are on it.
No. Go. What came into your brain?
My Blockbuster shirt, but I just
There
got
you go.
it. Someone just bought it for me, so it's
Okay,
back here.
All right,
Yeah.
so your Blockbuster t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, and then number 5. How many years will you use the excuse "my house burnt down" as an excuse?
I'm gonna use it all the time.
Okay, so
forever.
forever.
I already have. Like I already started.
Forever. Yeah, you probably will use it forever.
I think I've even used it with you, like in just a
Oh,
random.
yeah, several times.
It's a good one though.
It's a fucking great one.
It's really. I always imagine
it's a
like
really good one.
some episode of Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's like, I lost my house in the fire. Like I like.
Oh yeah.
Like just like a gentle, subtle bring into it to like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think obviously as we go, we touched on this a little bit, but like I think when we go through hard things as people, we learn so much about ourselves. We learn about, our capabilities and our weak spots, our strengths. What would you say that you have learned most about yourself over this past month?
At some point in this, someone sent me a message that said how resilient I am.
Hmm.
And I have never defined myself that way. Like, I can find humor in it for sure. That's something like self-reflective, right? Like, oh, I can find humor in all of this. Which is what probably alienated people, the friends anyway. But the resilience factor of it was really the thing I learned the most, because even in what we do, like in film and all that stuff, being an independent documentary filmmaker, you have to have a resilience because you hear so many passes all the time on everything, right? And so in this dark time in which I lost everything, I felt like it took me a minute, but like through you and other friends and people, like it's just like, okay, I am resilient. And I am going to get back to fucking doing the things I'm doing. I'm going to get back to enjoying my yard. I'm going to get back to making food in the house and scrambled eggs and all the things and drinking coffee and all those things. I'm not going to let this kind of like, I'm not going to sit in this grief.
Right. And is that something that you feel like you have to work at every day? Or is it sort of, just inherently kind of part of you, and like because like you strike me as a pretty glass half full person naturally, correct?
Yes, I'm positive Pete. Yes,
like you're not a person that like there will I'm sure many people who have gone through this who will forever sort of define their life as like before the fire and after the fire, and things will never be the same. And I don't
for
really
me, I'm not
like
that person. I'm
that
like,
way. Yeah.
and I get that feeling. I can see how people might be like, the thing is, I have a really good support system. Like we talked about, I saw the good in everybody around me, my family, my friends, people I haven't talked to in a long time, the 90210 community, you, Brian, Tori, everybody, Randy, all that. Like, so I was able to see that. But if you don't have that, and everything in that place was all you had, I could see how you can have that feeling of like, I'm never going to have anything again. It feels like the weight of it is so heavy. You know what I mean? The weight of even what I just said, of like all those things, losing all those things, it's so heavy. But like, I don't want to be defined by the fire. I want to be the person that was this happened, and then I'm going to look forward, not backwards at the stuff. I'm going to get new things, and I'm slowly going to love my new things, And I do miss my old blanket too, by the way. I wanted to add that. Because there's a certain comfortness in the blanket that you choose.
Yeah.
And I've
sure.
used that blanket for like 4 or 5 years. I've probably even had
Hmm.
it before. And so I do miss that. I mean, I love the new one, don't get me wrong, but there was something like me and the blanket have been through some shit over, when at the end of the day, like when I would interview you for the first time after you refused to do the podcast, do you remember do you remember that period? And then you finally did it. Do you
Yeah.
remember? I slept in that blanket that night. You know what I mean? And like I held on to that like that was a good day. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so and if there were bad days, I slept in that blanket. And it's like
Hmm.
I don't have that blanket anymore. I sound very Linus right now. This is very
Yeah.
Linus.
Yeah. Which is like, is that your, is that,
Snoopy.
yeah. I was just, the framing of all this needs a little adjustment.
I knew you were gonna say that.
And then the guitars on the right, and then the nowhere poster's cool,
Which
but the nowhere poster's potentially good to stay. But I think the guitars, it just looks a bit cluttered. It looks a bit,
okay, yeah, no, I know. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on. By the way,
I think just one maybe.
do you remember you sent me in one of your links, Fender was giving away guitars or getting your guitars back?
Yes.
I
And
got
you
the
got, it's
yeah.
amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And
That's really
Brian Austin Green sent me a guitar and they gave me another one yesterday. So that
it's like you have so many guitars. It's
I
like,
have more guitars now than
thank
I
God
did
for the
previously.
fire.
I said that the other day. I was like, oh my God, I have so many new clothes now.
Guitars because of your, yeah.
Yeah. And
Do
also,
you feel like people are weird about that a little bit?
I feel like,
Like, because I know that the public perception of LA has been, you know, a little bit, like, I think a lot of people, I think that's why there's been backlash and people being kind of insensitive about,
yeah, I mean, that's
oh,
definitely
yeah,
a
leave it
part
to
of it.
LA, there's a fire, and then it's like, oh, you can go get $100, body oil for free, or
But the
you
whole
can
thing for
go,
me, the whole
like, do
thing,
you think that that's, like,
I
do you
think it's a
think
part.
people are a bit
Yes.
weird about that, going like, oh, this guy's lost his house in a fire, and like, now he's
Oh,
got,
and now he's got new
five
more guitars. Yeah.
guitars.
So my response to that is like I would totally
I mean,
take
they've been given to you. It's not like you're buying them. They were
well,
all gifts.
and even
So,
if I did buy them to replace, it's like
right.
I collected so many things over a certain period of time. Like I have to
You don't
remember.
have to, you don't have to justify it. I'm just asking, like, do you feel that
Yeah,
energetically
it's a huge
or
part
kind
of
of
it, but
weird about
my yeah, it's a huge part
it?
of it. I think
Yes,
that there's people that are definitely judging from afar, and it's also like, but I would totally take my house back than the 5 guitars that I have there.
of course.
You know what I mean? So like,
And I think also people don't understand that the majority, yes, of course, the Palisades is the Palisades, but I think that like the majority of people who lost everything, like, are not
yeah,
living in, they,
the
they were
palace.
not living in eight,
Yeah,
nine, $10 million homes that are one of 6 homes that they own. It's like they're people who've worked and strived and saved and like have lost everything. And I think that's like a huge thing that I found really kind of disgusting from afar, like just the thing of like, oh, LA needs to get over it. Like a
yeah, but
bunch
like
of
my area,
celebrities
Altadena, like
that
Altadena is
lost their homes.
was or is the coolest fucking area. Like you
Yeah.
would fucking thrive in Altadena.
No, I love Altadena. I remember looking at houses there like a few years ago, and there was this incredible, I'd have to find it. I don't remember but there was this incredible historical old beautiful home in Altadena that I went and looked at that was for sale, and I was like, "Oh, this is so beautiful." And I love really old homes, and it's gone.
And the thing is, so you would have
That makes me so sad that all of the
the
beautiful old
architecture,
20s homes that are just gone, you cannot rebuild that. You
the
cannot rebuild
architecture, the
that.
vibe, the culture. Like there were days when I would
No,
wake up,
it's
come outside, and there was a little church by this restaurant called Little Red Hen, and they'd be fucking jamming on out, and it'd be so loud that I could hear it from my yard. And then after the church was done, at the park, there'd be some like fucking hip hop thing going on, like some expression, and 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 I would hear that music as well. And then like a guy who used to ride by on a bicycle listening to like Motown and shit. And I was like, this is just an area that is like that they're okay with noise.
mhm.
They're culturally cool And there's just a lot happening here. Like the food scene was just like really starting to pick up and it was starting to build. And like you said, it's all people that like were business owners that like just like I'm going to do the dream of like opening my restaurant. I'm going to
Yeah.
do the dream of
But do
like
you feel that it's all going to be rebuilt?
I hope so. And that's
I
an
mean, I
area I would
feel
go.
like from everything I'm reading about specifically Altadena, it does feel like people are really committed to sort of rebuilding, whereas Palisades it feels like a lot of people are kind of saying that they're out.
The thing is that I hope it has to come back, Altadena, because Altadena is an example of like an area in where diversity is a thing and it works really great. Everybody gets along. And so
Yeah.
we would have stayed in Altadena or Pasadena even,
And you
but
can always go back.
and I will. But the thing about it is it was the smoke of it all and
Yeah,
needing a little bit of distance from it for a little bit
for sure.
before
Yeah,
returning.
for sure, for sure. I was gonna say, like, do you have plans to go back there eventually?
100. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I would love to be in the same place that I was in. You know what I mean? Like,
right, right. And
um,
do you think that what's the time frame right now in terms of cleanup and
that information,
removal?
I've kind of just put it in the, for lack of a better word, back burner.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I needed to focus on forward and not back. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
I love that area. I love that community. I hope to see it come back, and I would love to be a part of highlighting all the cool things that are now there or going to be there.
Right.
Um,
So what's next? Like what's like moving forward, fire's over, that chapter's over, obviously gonna be part of who you are forever and changed many things. But that being said, what's next?
okay, so I'm really excited because my pizza documentary is going to be in a couple festivals. I can't announce
Which
all.
I have seen,
You have. Well,
and
you
it
were a
is
consulting producer on it.
very,
Yeah,
very, very good. It's
thank you.
very good. Like it's very good.
I just, that just
Yeah, like it's so fun. It's so yeah,
you like
it's
something I did. I mean,
great. No, it's really, really great. And I'm, as you know, like I wouldn't necessarily say anything bad if I didn't like it, but I wouldn't say, oh yeah, it's great. Like yeah,
thank you.
it's
Thank you. I
totally
mean,
solid. Really
I
fun.
love all your stuff as well as you know. I've sort of been collecting of all of it for years. Um,
Yes.
so there's that, the festival.
Yes.
I'm very
Just
excited
amazing.
about
So it's
that.
that, getting that out there and
Getting my
yeah.
other stuff out there. Brian and I have a show called Rewind,
Yep.
which used to be called Revisionist History.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But I don't know if you know, but there is already a revisionist history.
Yeah, yeah.
So we ch-
I've heard that.
we changed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask you?
Probably
90
wise.
Can I
Mhm.
ask you? Can I ask you 90210 questions?
I mean, why not? Sure.
Okay, this is it's I don't know if it's not a fun one. It's a deep one.
Oh, oh, okay, okay.
When you did 90210, at the
Mhm.
end of your run at 90210, you were
Mhm.
also doing the movie Nowhere.
No, that's inaccurate.
Well, it was at some point
I
during
did it on hiatus.
right towards the end of your time at 902.
Yes, but it was like hiatus. I went and did Nowhere, and then I came back and worked on the show for a full season afterwards.
No, I understand. So you're saying it was season six, in between
I
six
don't
and
know, but
seven.
it wasn't like I did it and like was already off the show. I was on the show, did it, and then went back to the show.
I think this is the greatest move that you made in your time at 90210.
It was definitely interesting. Yeah, I think everybody was a little like, what?
Okay, so I want to ask you about that, but
Yeah.
I also want to ask you, how did you have the instinct to do that film? Because it's such a different film, but I honestly think you doing that film separated you from 90210. And I
Mhm.
don't know that because they were all doing the show for so long, I don't know if anyone else in that main cast could have had the opportunity to go and take a shot like on something that's off the beaten path. Like they can certainly go and do another show, you know what I mean? But it was a different time period too then, right?
Well,
Like
I mean, interestingly though, I will say, Greg wrote the role in Nowhere of the teen star for Jason Priestley
right,
and offered it to Jason, and Jason was like, hell no.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so different
What
than
what
what
is
you were
the movie?
than what you were doing on 90210.
Oh, well, yeah,
What was the general
you couldn't
reaction?
have two things more on the opposite end of the spectrum. Look, I have said this before. I feel that doing 90210 was more of a like random weird choice for me artistically than doing Nowhere. Like
That
I
makes
was
sense.
always I was always on that show kind of the one that didn't really make a lot of sense. I think that from everything from the way I looked to my hair to my clothes to my attitude, I think that for me it didn't feel weird or it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do something that feels really kind of shocking, or it was like, oh no, it was like I was a huge fan of Greg's and of his work, and so I was like super excited to get to go and read for it. And I went and auditioned for it and was just like, oh
Was
my
it
God, I
that
want to do this. And I do remember worrying that I would potentially get like in trouble from like
well,
Fox or from like not like from the producers, like playing a character named Lucifer with purple hair and a lesbian. And at that time, there wasn't as much. Nowadays, I don't know if it would be as big of a deal, but I feel like at the time it was very much like, I was always getting in trouble for doing shit to my hair on breaks. And that's why like I wanted to dye my hair purple. And after the last time I got in a lot of trouble, I dyed it blue and they made me dye it back. And so I had to wear a wig for the movie because I was like, I have to be cool to my series that I'm on. But yeah, no, to me again, like it felt very much like, oh yeah, natural for me. But I think for everybody else, they were a little bit like, what the hell? What the fuck is this?
but Shannon's in that too.
Yeah.
And
Shannon, I don't think was on the show anymore. Am I
no, she
right?
was gone.
You would
Right.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't she was gone, but Shannon also was in that movie. Did you interact with her?
Not at all. I think that's like they did one scene. So it was Shannon,
Yeah.
Tracy Lords, who,
Yes.
was a famous.
I know who she is.
Okay. So it was Shannon, her, and then I think the third was Parker, right? Parker Posey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people in that movie
Yeah.
that inevitably go on to these like
Yeah. It was like such a, again, like snapshot of a very specific moment in time. Like working on that movie was incredible.
or was it so bitchin'?
It was so bitchin'.
Okay, amazing. Leaving 90210. I'm always fascinated by this part of your life because to me, I think a lot of people did that show and saw it as a platform for when they were going to leave 90210,
Mm.
that it was going to catapult them into something.
Oh no, it's the opposite. It was the opposite.
You also
God,
don't
I
want
mean,
to
it was
leave a
so
show.
clear to me. It was so clear to me that I was so scared that it was going to be like, oh my God, this is it. I'm never going to work again. Like it's over. It's going to
Because
be
you've seen that. Like
terrified of that.
you've seen it happen to like the kids from Different Strokes or some other show where they're
Yeah.
on a show for so many years and then they're pigeonholed. And it's so weird because I feel if 90210 was on today,
It
it
wouldn't be
would
that
be
way.
no big deal about like
No, it wouldn't
being
be
on
that way at
90210
all. It was
playing music,
totally
being
different. Yeah,
you know,
totally different time. I mean, yeah, nowadays it would be like the biggest to get on a show like Riverdale or to get on a show like, Outer Banks or to get on like that would have been holy shit. This is the stepping stone to something so much bigger. But at that time it was absolutely the opposite. I mean, I remember when I left the show, I was signed to William Morris Agency, WME. And when I signed with them, it was kind of under the understanding that they were like, and you're definitely leaving, correct? Like, you're done with this show. We're done with this, right? And like, it was almost like a prerequisite. Like, they were like, they weren't signing me unless I was basically 100% sure that I was leaving. And so it was like it was a thing for sure. And I think Nowhere was very much representative of me sort of planting my flag in the sand, going like, no, this is where I'm going. And,
that's what I was getting to. Like, you knew when you did Nowhere.
Yes, that it was the beginning of like the next chapter, 100%.
Years later, you do this movie. We talked about Tim Curry. Years later, you do Scary Movie 2. You're so hot in Scary Movie 2. Like,
pardon me?
You're so hot in Scary Movie 2. Like, I can't.
Thank you.
I
didn't know
it's next level. It's next level shit. Like, you know this. You have to know this.
Well, it was a parody though of those girls.
I understand
I'm not that girl.
No, well, you
I'm
are
not that girl.
Like, you are. No, you're not like that girl, but you are hot. Like, that is you.
But it's not really me. Like, it's
all
like
saying.
The hair and the nails. Like, it's all like, it was me commenting. It was very much like it was like,
yeah, but you look so
it was almost like a challenge for me too. Like when I auditioned for that movie, I was so, and again, knowing me now, like, that like, it's so not me.
It's not you, but you're like, you're so attractive in the movie.
But it was like me comment. It was a comment.
I understand that. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like it was me going, oh, I wonder if I could ever play a role like that. Like, I wonder if I could ever beat the girl with like the G-string hanging out of the top of the pants.
Yeah.
Was like, that was what I wore to my audition.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. And
they were just like, that's weird. And I mean, it was so not me. It doesn't even look like me. I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but there are guys who have no idea that you were commenting and are just like, she is so fucking hot in that movie.
Well, that was the intent.
Yeah. But you get to work with Tori in that.
Yes.
And that must have been fun.
It was so fun. Yeah, it was so fun. We had so much fun. And it was just like we picked right back up where we left off. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And and I was cast on that before she was cast. And then when I found out that because they had been trying to find somebody for that role, and then when they, said, oh yeah, we've cast Tori, I was very excited that I was going to get to have, time with her again. Okay. And with him, and like,
I was going to say, well, and I'm doing that movie, and it's like, Tim has told me he didn't love the experience of making that movie in particular.
No, I know that.
But he always says, I liked her.
Aw, that's very, very sweet. I loved him. Yeah.
And was that like fun for you to work with someone like that?
Yes, 100%. I mean, he was kind of like the bright. I mean, everybody, like, it was a challenging shoot, and it went on much longer than it was supposed to. It went on for months and months after it was supposed to wrap. So yeah, he was, I was kind of obsessed with just sitting and asking him questions and grilling him about sort of this movie and this movie and this experience and this director. And, he'll tell you what's up. Yeah.
Like, he's not afraid to say what's up.
Yeah. So when is that documentary? Like, where are you at in the process of making that?
Shooting it, filming it, and then
you're still filming.
Yeah.
It.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on that still. Anyway,
I mean, that's going to be great. I can't wait for that. And you also have your documentary that you're working on about Broadway, right?
I'm doing that, and also The Land of Oz, which is super.
And then, of course, you have 5 movies in various stages of filming, development, which is like really, really incredible. And I think, when I've said this to you before, I think one of the things that I really find inspirational about the way you work is that you find the things that you're interested in, even if they're random,
Most of them are.
Like 90210, like who the hell would be like, I'm gonna do a podcast about 90210? And how many episodes have you now done?
I mean, we're in like 185. We're close to
I mean,
200.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot about 90210 now.
Yeah, and now you're gonna, I mean, I think you should make a documentary about 90210. Yeah, I'm excited for all your docs.
I'm excited for all your stuff.
Thank you.
You have a lot going on. I don't think people realize like what Kathleen Robertson has going on today, but you're an incredible writer. I've gotten to read a lot of stuff of yours. And
yes, you have read a lot of it.
I love all of it. There's
how many scripts would you say of mine you've read?
8, 10?
Yeah, a lot.
Because you have a bunch of things in various stages of development.
Yes, I have a million things.
Wellness is incredible. Can I say that? Is that okay to say?
Money to make them. Yeah, we can talk about it. Mm-hmm.
You know, wellness is one of them that I love so much. Vanity.
Yeah.
What's going on with Vanity?
It's with an actress right now who is leaning in. So I'm trying to get it's a feature that I wrote, and it's 2 women at the center, and so I'm trying to find the right person for that, and I'm going to direct it. And
it's incredible the stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. I mean, I'm trying.
I mean, it's not easy out here. You know what I mean?
Very, very, very challenging. But I've been super fortunate to write in both the TV space and the feature space. So yeah, I have a bunch of stuff going on in both.
Do you think it's interesting that Claire Arnold,
Claire Arnold. Yes.
She kind of was a showrunner and a writer.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. She was always involved in the TV shit. You and David do you remember this episode of 90210 where you and David make a real world spin?
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you are like, you're the one who's writing it and running point. Running it.
That's funny. Yeah, that is funny. That's weird.
Obviously, you know, I talked to Chip Johannesson this week about you, and I was trying to get the name Where Did Claire Come From? And because I'm just obsessed on that level. Like,
yes.
I need to know all.
Exactly. Like I said, you find the things that you're interested in and you put your focus on.
You being one of those things. Anyway, he says maybe Claire Danes, but maybe nowhere. No, maybe from nothing. You know what I mean? Like it may have popped up in his head.
From Nowhere, the movie?
No. Out of nowhere.
Oh, no, because that was before. Yeah.
Out of nowhere, he may have just
like out of nowhere, he may have done it. Interesting.
Yeah. So,
that's an interesting thing about the showrunner component for Claire, and then the present day thing. Like, I wonder if like where it would be curious to ask
Larry
or Larry, like where did that idea come from? Like, was it because they felt I was kind of hard charging that way?
I bet you.
Like on point, or was it just like it had nothing to do with that?
Well, I mean, the other thing too is like when you're doing a show like 90210 in the 90s and you have 32 fucking episodes, it might be like, just let Claire run the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because like there's this one scene in that show.
Oh my God, what is happening right now?
Okay, so I want you to watch this. Okay.
I'm watching this? Okay.
Yeah. I love when I show you old 90210 things. First of all, do you remember any of this right here?
Well, not yet. Other than all I'm focused on right now is my hair looks bizarre.
Okay, I love your hair here.
It looks so weird. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Tell me if you can hear it.
Okay, so this is what I thought we'd do. We'll start with the breakfast vignette. The roommates arguing about the fight in the kitchen, and then...
Can't we do something a little more original?
That's the #1 fight roommates have. It's classic. Trust me. It'll be great.
How come we never go with any of my ideas?
We do. When they're good.
Which to you is almost never.
I just want it to be better than good. What's wrong with aspiring to make it great?
Okay, fine. I'm too tired to argue. You win.
Well, I still think you should have played Tuck. Get back at that jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whose idea was it for you to play the guy who has a crush on Donna anyway? Good night, David.
Good night, Donna.
Okay, isn't this though totally you?
Okay, so I'm primarily focused when I watch that. I'm primarily focusing on how
I can't do it. I know where you're gonna go. Go ahead.
what do you mean you know where I'm gonna go?
Go ahead. You're gonna criticize some aspect of yourself from all those years ago.
I'm gonna basically say that I think it's really interesting the way I used to speak in the early, especially in the early episodes, because I was nervous and I wasn't in my body. And so I would do this weird thing. It's interesting. I do it at the beginning of the scene when I don't remember the line. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it's almost like a fake accent. Like I do this thing where I kind of talk, I go like, and there was something recently that you showed me that was another scene or something like that.
Oh, Washington, D.C.
And it was fake. It's like it's fake. Like it's not me. And I would do this weird thing, and I almost think it's like a imitating Jodie Foster.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's a bit of a diet, like I kind of go,
Yeah, but I've heard you say,
I don't know. Like I kind of go, like it's this weird thing.
okay, but
But
like
it's like, oh, it's bad. I mean, it's bad acting ultimately.
no, it's
but
oh my God, just stop with the drama.
it's bad acting ultimately, but it's also not being in my body, I think. And I think I've told you this before that when I did 90210, I had already been a child actor since I was 10. So I had been working as a working actor from the age of 10. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then I don't know, was I 19 or 20 when I left the show? I don't remember. 21. So like for all those years, right? I had no training as an actor. I only just was fortunate enough to have a natural ability and I got work. So when I left 90210, I told you that was when I started training. So if you watch my work on 90210 and then you watch, say, a movie like Splendor,
which is amazing,
which was post 90210, or you watch, XXXY.
I love XXXY.
Or you watch any of those, like
I'm turning into Chris Farley at this point.
That period of, where I did a million indie movies, like where I did like Dog Park
Oh
and
my
I
God.
did.
I never seen Dog Park.
Mall Cop and
Mall Cop.
After the Night and like all those.
Oh, After the Night.
It's a totally different, work-wise than 90210 because 90210 I had no training. So I would do things like that scene where it's like I'm awful in that scene. Like
I'm not awful.
I'm not listening. I'm not in my body. I'm just kind of saying the lines and going like this and doing this weird thing with my voice. So it's very hard for me to watch.
Okay, well, I don't see any of that. I mean, I see your point. I see what you're trying to say. But in that time period when we were all watching that show, specifically me,
yeah,
whatever you just said was not on my mind.
And in all fairness, like it's not something that I have any thought or care about. Like I don't look at it and go, oh, like I don't even it's just like I look at it and I go, it's adorable. I'm so young and cute.
Yes.
The show was so impactful to millions and billions of people. Like I love everything about it. Like I don't watch it with any heaviness and kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like it's fine. It's where I was at. It's great. It's fine.
I mean, okay, so let's just get to this part of it though. First of all, when she says or when you say, okay, like when you're starting the to look at your notes in that scene,
I'm like, okay.
I've heard you do that.
Yeah, for sure. Little things, for sure.
That's a Kathleen.
100%.
What about the general idea that like she's a showrunner or she's showrunning this thing for college and she wants it to not just be good, but she's aspiring for it to be great.
Aspiring for it to be great.
I have no further 90210 questions for this. Thank you for doing this though. I wanted to say when I first wanted to meet you, well, that was a long time ago. Like I was like, I used to always have this pre-planned script if I ever like met you at an airport or that was always where I thought we would meet, is like at an airport.
Interesting. And where did we meet?
In reality, it was on this podcast, but it was really
No.
when you were working
In
on
person, where did we meet?
our first time that we met. Well, we met in person when you were doing Swimming with Sharks,
Correct.
and I brought you the
And
Claire
you
necklace.
brought me the Claire necklace. Hmm.
And I think about that day a bunch because like I had always wanted that to happen. And mainly because like I was so into you and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? From the fan perspective. I've watched everything that you've done and all that. And then we did do that. I met you and you were super kind and sweet to me. And you've always been. And I really appreciate it. But I think what like in this time of like total chaos and darkness,
Hmm.
like you really find one, who your true friends are, but two, also like the good in everybody. Like you find
Hmm.
this sweet spot of people, and like you've always been so kind. So I'm just so grateful for you. Like that our relationship has evolved into this, like me asking you about the penguin in which Northern Rescue to like to checking in on me, making sure I had
Yeah.
clothes, making sure I was mentally okay, and like asking me the right questions, and also allowing me the space to just like go off on a thing.
Yep. Vent and yeah.
Like this fucking thing happened today in the midst
Yeah.
of everything else, and like I don't need this shit. You know what I mean? Or what? And it could be
Right.
so minor.
Right.
The gas tank
Yeah.
thing, or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whatever. And
Of
you
course.
listen
Yeah.
to all of that, and
Oh, yeah, of course.
I just
I'm Canadian. I've told you this.
it has nothing to do with you being Canadian. It has everything to do with the spirit and person that you are.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate
I
your.
picked the right TV crush, but I want to show you this.
Oh.
Tell me
So.
when this is from.
Hmm.
This feels early.
God, I'm trying to think.
Is it going to take this long on each one of these pictures? Because
No,
this is
I don't
supposed
know.
to
I
be,
don't know what that's from. It's a headshot though, and I think it was from. It's definitely post 902. It's after 90210.
because this was supposed to be rapid fire, and the way you
Okay, okay. I'm gonna go quicker. Sorry, that was there. Yep, and it was yeah. Mhm.
this is my favorite picture of you. I thought about blowing this one up.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, that was a photo shoot for I want to say Nylon magazine, which I don't think exists anymore.
I love how bratty you are here.
Yeah, that's like white skin, red lips.
Love all
Not a
that.
lot has changed.
Well, yes, and obviously my thing, but also I love the shoes. I don't know if you can
The
see them.
shoes were Betsy Johnson, and they were wooden clogs.
And
Oh.
the general attitude, and that did you just jump up, or did the
Yeah,
photographer?
I think I just jumped up, and I just remember thinking it was weird too because it's like there's a sink under me, right? Yeah,
Okay.
that's from Slender.
Love this one.
Yeah, that's cute. That's pretty. Yeah. And Greg made me dye my hair blonde for that movie because I had.
Is that when I was going to ask that question. When did you decide to dye your hair blonde? And you
Well,
wrote.
it was blonde for that movie. He really wanted me to have blonde hair for that movie. I think also primarily is he really wanted it to be like a complete departure from
Claire.
Yeah, from Claire. And so that was the first time I dyed my hair blonde for a movie, but I just did it for that movie, and then the minute it was over, I went back. I didn't keep it. But then I dyed it.
You've
I
had it for a
redyed
long
it
time.
blonde. Well, no, because then I went back to brown, and then I had red,
I
and
love
then
red.
I dyed it blonde for Boss.
That's right.
They also, when I was cast in Boss, my hair was red. And they had already cast Connie Nielsen as Kelsey's wife. And then his daughter had dark hair, like reddish dark hair too. So they were like, we want you to be blonde. And
Makes
I was,
sense.
and it was Gus Van Sant that would ask me. And so I was like, of course, I'll dye my hair blonde.
But you've been blonde since that show.
Yes, I have. I've stayed blonde. Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Oh my God. Yes. That was like,
I love her.
I think my first photo shoot as Claire, and it's just cute. Again, like the hair is just so funny.
Oh, what did you think? The clip I sent to you showed you of your hair in that. I loved it.
It's so funny. It's just so funny because it's the antithesis of that time period. Like,
Yes,
who had their hair like that?
I know.
Nobody.
I know, but that's what makes it also good.
It's like it looks so random. Oh, that's cute.
I love this one.
I don't really know where that's from. Isn't that awful? I don't know. I just know I'm wearing like a white
Yes.
Hanes tank top, and yeah.
Do you remember the other day when we were on the phone and then you started talking to me about something and I said you were sounding like Hildy from Murder in the First because you were going
Yeah.
like all this like
Yeah.
investigation shit?
Yes.
Does that annoy you when I say things like that, or are you okay with
Oh,
that?
okay.
Okay, I like because I like it a lot.
It's okay. Yeah.
Did you like making that show?
I did.
I love
Yeah,
that show.
I loved that show. I loved working with Tay.
I think that show needed two
Right.
more
We had a
seasons.
lot of, yeah, it was, well, Steven, yeah, it was sort of yeah, it was, I think, again, like it was a bit of I think it was a expensive show. And I think that the network that it was on TNT. And I think they were kind of they were sort of struggling. And so I think that it was kind of a financial decision on their part because it did really well.
It was good.
We did it for 3 years.
Did you
So
like playing that?
I
Like
loved playing that part.
the detective and all that?
Yeah, I
You were good
loved it.
at that.
I actually am one of the shows that I'm working on right now is about like the experience I had playing a homicide detective and all the research I did and all the ride-alongs I did and all the experiences that I had really delving into that world. I now am really kind of obsessed with writing a show about a female homicide detective, but doing it in a really sort of real way. Because that show was a little bit, it was it was poppy.
Yeah, but I love that element of it. So make it
Yeah.
poppy.
Yeah, I know you like the poppy stuff.
Well, but where I loved I totally bought you in that. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
loved it. Well, I know, yeah. So when I met on that, it was after Boss, and I had played this like really slick, really educated, really powerful, strong woman. And when I met with Stephen Bochco for Murder in the First, his concern was that he didn't think I necessarily would be believable doing blue collar.
I'm like, what?
And I was like, I am blue, like I'm from Hamilton, like
Yeah.
I'm from the Canadian Pittsburgh. I am absolutely that's who I am. So yeah, it's weird. I haven't done a ton of roles where I play characters that are a little bit more like elevated. I tend to always get cast in roles where it's like somebody who's really smart or educated or blah blah blah.
Well, I'm actually now fascinated that you went on like ride-alongs and shit.
Oh yeah, it was so amazing. I loved it. It was so crazy.
What?
With like
Okay, so tell me what
downtown
you saw on
LA,
ride.
like
Yeah.
guys, I mean, literally, like I would go, there was this one detective in particular who took me out a few times. And I mean, it was really, yeah, it was really disturbing.
Did you want to? And you wanted to see all that?
Oh yeah, I wanted to do it.
Uh-huh. And you got to see like the
I
real.
did it every season. Like I went out at the beginning of every season and would go out and like go downtown and they would take me and I mean like taking me on things where they would be arresting people in front of me, like going into like literally a downtown LA crack den and going into someone's house and they would like break the door down and I would go back behind with them and they would break the door down and go in and like people just littered on futons on the ground shooting up and arresting people and I would just be standing there watching.
And the first season's so good, and like you do all these like chase sequences, and like you're breaking fucking doors down and all this stuff. And then there's like a great scene I think maybe at the end of the is it at the end of the second or third season, you and this, and I forget the actress's name, but like you have, someone's dead and you have to tell her that the person's,
Yeah.
died and all this. And like, it's just, you're so good. It's so like riveting. I was
Right.
like fucking hooked on that shit.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good one. And then
What-
I was pregnant the last season, so
I
and
love it.
everybody would be like, "Why is Hildy so fat?
No, no, okay.
Why has she gained so much weight?" And I didn't want anyone to know I was pregnant, so I wouldn't respond. But people would just be like, "Oh, she's gained so much weight." And meanwhile, I'm like 7 months pregnant, hiding behind garbage cans. Like,
But it worked. Like, I didn't get in the way of it.
I don't know.
Bates Motel.
Yeah,
I loved that too, but I stopped watching after you
really
left.
sore. Like the minute you say that, my brain just goes to my hair extensions, and they were so uncomfortable.
I love that every time that for the most part, every time you take on something new, it's
Mm.
it's a reinvention.
Sometimes, yeah.
The only thing that was the only thing that's really unusual, the
Which one?
one where you're oh God, into you the one where you're like the regular girl at a wedding.
Oh, yeah, yeah, with Desmond Harrington.
Yeah. I
Yeah, that
forget
was like the first time I think I ever did a movie where I was the girl.
you were the girl.
I was just the girl. And it was so out of my comfort zone. Again, like I just felt like I was just like, what am I doing here?
But even the choice for Tin Man, which is
Yeah.
so different than the girl from the fucking,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Tin Man was more like, yes, that makes sense.
Yes, that falls. She would totally.
Yes.
I actually think. I mean, I don't know if people ever compared it to the Wizard of Oz. Do people do that all the time? I think Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, well, it was I mean, it is a re-envisioning of that, right?
Yeah, and so that fan base I know, and they're like
Rabid.
rabid.
RAVID, like a rabid dog.
They're rabid about anything Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
So did you get in that period like
Obsessed with like those fans of Wizard of Oz, like they still are very obsessed with that
show?
series. Yeah,
I think you're more evil than the witch in the Wizard of Oz.
yes, but then like when you see at the end why she is the way she is, and she has that moment with Zoe Deschanel that's like so kind of beautiful, really, and really kind of shows the soul of who she is and why she is the way she is, I think kind of explains it all, right?
There. Yeah, no, for sure. But it's like you literally like, suck the air out of people in that.
Yeah. Richard Dreyfuss, right? Don't I kill Richard Dreyfuss?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're killing people left and right. Well, thank you so much for interviewing me. And
You're very welcome. I feel like you kind of interviewed me maybe more than I interviewed you, but you can cut some of that out.
no, I liked both parts of it, and I think people will really enjoy us talking. I always get comments after we do something like this, like, love when you guys do things together. I don't know what that is. It's amazing when people say that, but because I think they like seeing me have this with you. You know what I mean?
Well, I think everybody's happy that you're back and okay and survived, and it's like onward and upward and focus on all your docs and putting cool stuff out into the universe. And
thank you so much, Kathleen, for doing this. I appreciate it.